if you recall at the meeting, we did try to start to forge some connections between the architect who was and the developer who somehow is doing work on the, or it is unclear to me, but it's Salvation Army problems inside the building that are being addressed. And it is, from what we understand, well, it's unclear who those contract workers are, but I know it isn't. It's clear. It's clear. If they are the owner, they work for the owner. That is absolutely clear.
Well, right now the building hasn't at least legally changed hands. It's still in the hands of the Salvation Army.
Not according to papers that I have seen. It's owned by. What have we been in court with them? It is owned by Brock. Who's right there? Brock. They are the owners of the building. That is absolutely clear.
So it must
Salvation Army does no longer own it according to papers we see.
Well,
They manage the building.
Our understanding, and again, we didn't spend hours at this, is a couple of things. Number one, and I recall having read about this building. The Salvation Army is building a brand new facility on the east side.
That's not true.
Well, in fact, that is true.
If I can clarify. Excuse me. So, Richard, Jay, if I could just clarify. Brock came to us with, they came to Richard, Page, and I to discuss not the preservation piece, but the land use piece. They are in the process of building a building, I believe it was 125th Street on the east side. And when that building is completed, their plan is to move the residents that are currently at, in the building into the new building. My notes say that it would be done in the spring of 2019. And once they're resettled, they will then proceed with the building.
Correct. And additionally, they said that 80% of the current residents now have indicated that they are going to move to the new facility.
That's all I can say.
I'm not sure why there's any construction going on in the building while the tenants are still in it before the 125th Street building is built, unless it's maintenance.
It is.
And if it's maintenance, it has to be done. But we can make inquiries through the board office. We will see what's going on, and we'll see whether there's some situation that requires a remedy.
And is there any place that happens that the contractors are licensed, do their work properly?
We're looking into it. We're going to look into it. We're not going to solve it tonight.
Which is what we said it. Yeah. Okay.
We coded with some design recommendations to approve the application for construction and the design of it. All in favor?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 40. Okay, Joe? Anyone cancel again?
No, 3.
2, 3, 4. Any abstentions? Not voting for 1. And none not eligible.
4410.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so For the position of chair, we did not reach a majority, so we're going to have a second round of vote. And that is going to be between Roberta and Michelle. So for the second round, you need to vote for one of those two candidates, Roberta or Michelle, and you need to also sign for round two. For the position of vice chair, we have three candidates that we need to vote for. You get to choose up to two. It'll be Polly, Andrew, and Amy. You get to vote up to two in the second round for vice chair. And Lolita and Sarah for co-secretary have both been elected.
What a miracle.
Can you say that again about the vice chair?
Sure. Vice chair, you can vote for up to two candidates, and that would be Amy, Andrew, and Polly. And we're going to give you 5 minutes, and then we're going to collect the ballots, and we're going to go count again. Thank you.
So while people are voting, we're going to go to BCI.
Thank you. Right across the front.
You're gonna be saying a lot when we get to.
Yes.
Everyone has to sign.
Sign round two. Yes, please make sure you sign for round two. Thank you.
No, the chair is.
Okay, so this is item number 4 on the agenda. 430 Amsterdam Avenue.
Jason.
Okay, sorry about that. So this is JC Lema, 430 Amsterdam Avenue, that we're looking for. They had to alter their SLA application. So they added, they made some alterations to their place. They added some space, and they actually reduced the size of their bar. At the committee meeting, this passed unanimous. There were not opposition by any member of the community. Are there any questions? Okay, so all those in favor?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 33, 34, 35.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any, no?
Any against? Any abstaining? Anybody not eligible?
Anybody want to go home?
Not eligible.
Did you ask if anyone wants to go home?
So what was the vote?
Sorry, the vote was 35,001.
Okay, so next item, number 5, 320 Columbus Avenue. That was a new SLA application, but they didn't show up to the meeting, so we disapproved it. So this vote is to disapprove the SLA application for 320 Columbus Avenue.
They will likely come to us next week.
It was added it's on the telephone. It was added at the last moment. Okay, so all those in favor, yes?
Okay, favor, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37.
Against?
Anyone against? Are you raising
Andrew, are you
your hand?
against? We just have.
Okay. Abstention? Anybody abstaining? And not eligible? Not eligible?
And this was
Okay.
disapproved, just to be clear.
Yes, this was about to disapprove, yes. Okay, item number 6 is the SLA license renewals.
No, new
I
application.
mean, SLA new applications. We have,
37002.
I think it's supposed to say flying fisherman, not flaying.
yes, that's it. We fixed the number of minutes, but it didn't make it to the agenda.
Although it's a nice visual. No.
Yeah, when they're flying, fling them and.
So this is a new application for a license for 269 Columbus Avenue, the Flying Fisherman. 359 Columbus Avenue, 8th Hill, 377 Amsterdam Avenue, Tacos Los Vaqueros, 2791 Broadway, Francesco Capolongo. All these applications passed unanimous at the committee meeting. There were no opposition from the public. Any questions? So all those in favor? Oh, wait, okay.
All new
One,
restaurants.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Maybe start again.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38. Okay, again? One again?
We are now at,
Same.
7.
Yes, this is the third issue.
38000.
Okay, number 7.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is the renewal for unenclosed sidewalk cafes. I want to add number 8 on the agenda, 1900 Broadway was also sidewalk cafe, unenclosed sidewalk cafe renewal. They didn't show up at the football at the committee meeting, but they came today to the pre-meeting, and we approved it unanimously. So I want to bundle that one with the other two. Those are 3 all 7 and 8 together. Yes.
Question
Yes.
for 2740 Broadway.
Uh-huh.
I thought they had an unenclosed sidewalk cafe.
Yeah, this
It
is
is
unenclosed. This is unenclosed.
Yeah, because it says enclosed.
Yes, there was a typo on the
Oh, okay,
that hasn't been fixed yet.
okay.
But you're right, it's unenclosed.
These are unenclosed.
7 and 8. So those are all 3 unenclosed sidewalk cafe renewals.
And unenclosed is located.
Yes. So
Unenclosed,
there were no opposition from the public. We all passed it unanimously. Any other questions? So all those in favor?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38.
There's another one.
Right,
Paper,
again?
yeah. There's another one that says enclosed.
Anyone against?
Sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
Abstained? Not eligible?
38000.
Okay, next item on the agenda, 2672 Broadway Mexican Festival. This is an enclosed cafe renewal. Again, we all approved that. There were no opposition. There was no opposition from the public. Anybody have any questions? This is enclosed, yes. Yeah, I mean, the current owners have been there since 2003, and the closed cafe predates that. Okay, all those in favor?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. Against? 1, 2. Abstained? 1. Not eligible?
36210.
Okay, next item on the agenda, 240 Columbus Avenue, Cafe Tallulah. Originally, the agenda said this was a new enclosed cafe application. It is not. This is a location that has had an enclosed sidewalk cafe since 1972. What happened was there was a change of addition of ownership, and they had to do a renewal, and there was no follow-up on that renewal, so the renewal expired, and because the renewal expired, they had to do a new application. Mark?
The business is now operating under a different name. Does that affect what we do?
No.
It's Oxbow Tavern. Right, it's Oxbow Tavern. It may be a DBA Cafe Tallulah.
It's a DBS Cafe
I
Tallulah. Yeah.
think this should,
I just want to vote on the right application.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, no, we're good. Yeah.
but it's Oxbow Tavern.
Okay. All those in favor?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13,
It says
14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37. Against? 1, 2, 3, 4. Abstained? Not eligible?
37400.
Thank you.
Okay. The last item on the agenda for us, 417 Amsterdam Avenue, Bluestone Lane Cafe. This is a place that's becoming, it's going to be controversial for us coming up. The applicant did not show up, so we had to disapprove the application. So the vote is going to be to disapprove. But whenever they come back to us, there have been some complaints that they have been exceeding their sidewalk allocation. And yes.
They've also been serving from outside the cafe.
Right.
Yeah, we saw that
Yes.
too, and several people
Yes.
spoke to us
So
about it.
the office did contact DCA about it. So yeah.
John
Yeah.
already contacted
Yeah.
DCA.
He's on the case.
Yeah. Okay. So this is about to disapprove. All those in favor?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
We don't wanna
6,
kill
7,
them.
8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17,
Oh, when we leave it to you, we'll kill them.
20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 28, 39, 40.
Thank you.
Abstain? Not over.
40000.
Good evening. We have 6 items for the Transportation Committee. I will do the first 3, and we'll do this, the next 3. The first one concerns Stranger's Gate, which is one of the scenic gates of Central Park. It's on 106th Street at Central Park West. It's a very grand entrance to the park, and right now there are cars parked in front of it, and there is a bus stop right nearby. We propose to just swap the two, so that scenic gate is open and there's a vista. The parked cars will move to the bus stop will move to where the gate is, and however often the bus comes, whatever it is, every hour, I don't know how often, but in any event, that'll be 6 weeks, every 6 weeks. There'll be a scenic gate there. Any questions?
There's a question here.
What, is it a question?
I want to talk about it.
Okay, Paul.
This was brought to the community board a couple of years ago and was voted down, in part because of the stinky way it was brought. The people in the neighborhood who own cars were not given a chance to weigh in on this. I don't know how many of you have ever looked for a parking spot late at night north of 96th Street, but I have. We've already lost hundreds of parking spots. Frequent configurations and bike lanes, and now the garages are gonna close. There's no way we should give up 3 more parking spots. And for bringing it this way again, without giving the neighborhood a chance to weigh in on it, should be ashamed of
It's a
yourself.
swap. There's no loss of parking. Under the original plan, there was a loss of, I forget whether it was 3 or 4. This was a long time ago. Under this plan, there's no loss at all. No loss.
Zero.
We're moving the locations, so we're moving from one to the other, that's all. Any other questions?
That's good to know.
Okay, call the question. All those in favor?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38. Again. 1.
Abstaining?
1.
Is that two, Mickey? That was you too, right? Sorry.
Not eligible.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
The next resolution concerns loading zones. If any of you have ever driven down the main avenues on the Upper West Side, there's occasionally, I was driving down Amsterdam Avenue and it turned into a one-lane road.
Yeah. It wasn't the bike, he was going downtown.
That's going by everyone's side. In any event, there is a major problem with double parking. And rather than tackling it on every avenue, the Transportation Committee focused on West End Avenue and Central Park West. I know on Central Park West there are no loading zones, so the goal was to put in loading zones. It'll never eliminate double parking. That's we accept, but it will reduce double parking. It will allow traffic to flow more freely. It will also, by not having double parking, it will make the streets safer and easier to navigate. So all of us went out and looked for a spot on each street or each other street that could be eliminated, or rather 2 spots that could be eliminated, to create a loading zone which would ideally facilitate deliveries, significantly reduce double parking, improve traffic flow, reduce idling cars, and there's a lot of benefits to it. And so we came up with a list of proposed areas that were ripe for a loading zone, and we'd like to present it to the DOT to ask them to try to implement a loading zone pilot project on these 2 avenues and see if the improvements we think will occur will in fact occur. Questions?
What, do you have a question?
Yes, I do.
I have a question.
Just a tiny question. Given the fact that we are losing parking spaces, are the loading zones going to allow parking, say, from 11 a.m. to 6 a.m. or something? So that people that live in the neighborhood can park there at night, address sinkholes. I would notice, I'm so tired right now, I don't care. Oh, it's
Some reasonable.
at nighttime.
That's a great suggestion, and the proposal was too, it's too early in the proposal to even address that. We didn't address that level of detail. I think it's a great suggestion. What we're proposing with this resolution is just have the DOT look at implementing loading zones and coming back to us with a plan. It's not to actually implement the loading zones. It's
I
to have-
understand,
Right, but I think that's a great, and I would
thinking.
regard that as a friendly amendment.
Oh, great, thank you.
Good suggestion.
So, Howard, so the plan is like that we want to implement loading zones where it's appropriate. We don't have any particular spots in mind right now.
Yeah, we have a list of spots that each of us, we divided up Western Avenue and Central Park West. Each of us took 10 streets, and we just came up with spots that were generally adjacent to a fire hydrant, so there'd be extra room. But there's no way binding, they're just indications to the DOT.
And what was the criteria used to select those particular spots?
Adjacent to a fire hydrant, not impairing a bus stop. What else? Near a large building. Near the entrance to a large building, so that there would be easy access, because not only are goods being unloaded, but people. There are disabled people who need to be let off on the curb by their building entrance. So that was another consideration. But let me be clear, these are mere suggestions. It's just when we spoke to the DOT about this, and they said, give us some idea of how many you like or where you like them. and they will be the ultimate arbiters of the city, where those spots will go, but will be the ultimate arbiters of whether we approve that or not.
It makes
Well, hold it
sense to
closer.
have loading zones on Amsterdam Avenue. It's a truck route and a commercial street. Riverside and Central Park West are residential streets. This seems,
West End.
West End, sorry,
Which is also a city.
yes.
No commercial.
This seems like you're opening up a precedent that DOT usually doesn't entertain. And with all the deliveries that are going to only be increasing, it seems like it's a task that you're never gonna make people happy or solve it, because everybody's ordering goods and services to their own apartment, and so those trucks are gonna be parking as close to them as they can.
But this allows them to park without obstructing traffic, which is the main goal of this. We don't want them to obstruct traffic. It slows traffic down, and it also creates, it's an unsafe situation for people who use the street.
Slowing traffic on a residential street, good thing.
No, not when it's going around a blind truck where there's a blind spot. That's not safe.
Most of those buildings don't allow packages through the front door, and they all have side entrances. Why don't the trucks pull up to the side entrance, take the parking of the loading zone there on the side entrance, where there's a place to load the stuff in?
I think loading zones on the side streets are a great idea. I think this whole thing started with Amsterdam Avenue being a one lane. It's just, you have to start somewhere.
I just had a question. So historically, and as of right now, commercial traffic is not allowed on West End Avenue, Central Park West. In fact, the fatality that had with the young lady recently, what that truck by definition was not allowed to be at Central Park West, and that the truck that killed the young lady at Central Park West. Are we saying by voting for this that commercial traffic will now be allowed on West End Avenue?
Absolutely not. That's clearly not the intention. What we're saying is that the existing delivery trucks that go on Central Park West and West End Avenue should have a place to sidle up to the curb. We're also saying that cabs and Uber and Lyft, which are proliferating, should also be able to drop people off at the curb. So no,
So these trucks are still not allowed on West End Avenue.
there
They
is
will not be
absolutely no
allowed to
intention.
load
to
or
restrict
unload.
hikers.
Just wanted clarification. Thank you.
Okay, that makes sense. That actually makes sense. Well, no, because it threw me off. Because it's like.
I think we need to be clear that the use of our streets has changed dramatically, and that we need to accommodate it. And that there are all these trucks making deliveries, and right now they have nowhere to go. And that wasn't the case anywhere near as much, even a few years ago, with the rise of Amazon and other carriers. I think we do want to make sure that we don't have trucks sitting there all day, as Fresh Direct would do, and that it's for a short amount of time for them to make deliveries and take off. But if you look at these avenues, Central Park West and West End, they're just filled with trucks making deliveries. They can't get to the curbs, so they're sitting in the street and creating a real danger for our citizens.
And we did speak with Captain Mellon about the importance of enforcement, and he was going to relay that to traffic enforcement so that they wouldn't be able to sit in these loading zones for hours and hours at a time.
Yeah, recent statistic is 40% of the books in the United States are now delivered by Amazon, and that's just one entity of the thing that's being delivered. We spoke to, a couple of us spoke to UPS drivers, and they were delighted to hear that they might actually have a legal place to park, and they said they could park in one place and serve a lot of different buildings there. I looked at, my area that I looked at was from 86 to 96 on CBW, and I just happened to count up the number of dwelling units there, and it's almost 1,500 dwelling units in that 10 blocks, and none of them has a loading zone for all the deliveries that are being made. The Transportation Committee, in light of the new proliferation of delivery trucks on West End Avenue, consider restoring the 2 driving lanes that were one of the driving lanes that was taken away?
No, we didn't, but I'll just say this will make traffic, the goal is to make traffic flow better on West End Avenue. By eliminating double parking, it'll probably make the traffic flow better on West End Avenue.
Well, so we're restoring the driving.
But this is what we looked at to improve traffic.
Driving lanes were removed because of Vision Zero. There were a tremendous number of injuries.
And fatality.
Yes.
The suggestion that the no parking zones be limited in terms of good one. I think that the bulk of the traffic and the deliveries occur between 7:30 or 8 and 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So I would suggest that,
Actually, a lot of them come between 5 and 6:30 p.m.
well, okay, yeah, but that general, I think 11 o'clock is too late. I mean, the reason for doing it that late would be to allow taxis to let people off and on, but I don't think they don't stay very long, and I don't think they obstruct traffic, at least not on Central Park West. I think
That's a very helpful suggestion, similar to Page's, and I think certainly for the night hours, it doesn't need to go loading zone. Call the question.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34. Again? 1, 2.
Abstaining?
Abstain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. Non-eligible.
Sure. Let's break for the election results.
34,270.
First off, thank you everybody for filling out your ballots correctly. That made it much easier for us. Very much appreciated. So we have the results, and the chair is Roberta, and the first vice chair is Amy, and the second vice chair is Andrew. Congratulations to everybody, and thank you to everybody for coming to vote. Don't forget to vote on the 6th. That's what I know. Vote the right way.
Thank you, everybody.
That's right, yeah. I wrote the process for us. Wish. Oh, okay.
Thank you.
This next item is unfortunately on the agenda because of a death. For literally years, I and Andrew have been asking the DOT why they just can't switch the parking lane and the
Congratulations,
parking
Roberta.
lane, the
We'll
northbound
work together.
parking lane on Central Park West and the bike lane, and it would be a lot safer, and we really haven't gotten any satisfactory answer. Well, as most of you know, there's been a death there, but that's literally the tip of the iceberg. There have been an enormous number of injuries. The Central Park West bike lane is unprotected and very unsafe. And I think it deters a lot of people from biking there. So what the Transportation Committee unanimously asked for is what Helen Rosenthal called for, is a plan for a protected bike lane on Central Park West, so that another death would not occur, and it would put in at least reduce the number of injuries on that street. We have a number of speakers on this. Should they go first? Yeah. Okay. The first is Andrew Rosenthal.
Hi, I'm Andy Rosenthal. I lived on Central Park West for 22 years. I raised 2 children who went to ethical culture and traveled up and down Central Park West every day. My greatest fear when my kids were born and before they were teenagers was that they would be killed crossing Central Park West. Okay? A couple weeks ago, we remembered the 2,600 people that were killed at 9/11. Since 9/11, way more than 2,600 people have been killed in crashes in New York City. We have a problem that's solvable. Some of these problems, terrorism, we can't solve. We can solve this with Vision Zero. We need this bike lane.
Thank you. Danielle, Tripp? Tripp? Okay. Willow Stelzer?
So I'm Willow Stelzer. I live at 35 West Avenue. Just want to make a few quick points. I hope we do vote for this. I bike. I'm very safe, but the one time I've been hit by a car was actually on a continuation of the bike lane on Central Park West on Frederick Douglass, just above the park. It was during the day. I was going slowly coming from the Green Market. So if I can be hit on unprotected bike lane, anyone can. So it's really dangerous. And I'd like to point out that it also it would make conditions safer for everyone, motorists, pedestrians, and cyclists. For them, especially for cyclists and pedestrians, to be able to see each other more easily if they're next to each other and not having the parked cars in between them. And then on a personal note, I have a new daughter, and I would really love for her to be able to bike around the city, especially to and from the park.
Bill Amstutz? Followed by Reeve Ruby, and that's it.
Hi, Bill Amstutz. I've lived on the Upper West Side for 21 years as a volunteer with Transportation Alternatives. I had the privilege to help the family of Madison Jane Leiden install a memorial bike at 67th and Central Park West. During that time, I got a chance to get to know Maddie. She was a 23-year-old Australian woman, actually from the island of Tasmania, and she came to New York full of life. She loved horses. She recently graduated from college, and she came here like thousands of tourists every week, rented a bicycle, and wanted to explore Central Park. As she was riding up, she was cut off by an Uber and then hit by a garbage truck and killed. As I was helping them install the bike, I made a commitment to them that I would do everything I could to get a protected bike lane put in at Central Park West. That's why I stayed here this late, and I want to thank the committee for your support. And let's get it done. It's the least we can do for Maddie.
My name is Reeve Ruby. I lived at 96 in Central Park West for 20 years. And I wanted to share some of the results that Community Board 6 in Brooklyn had. In 2007, they sent a letter to DOT, the full board sent a letter to DOT asking for a two-way bike lane on, what's it called? Prospect Park West. That's what they asked for. And the reason they asked for that, there were two reasons. One, they wanted to slow traffic, and they wanted to increase safety. So they went through all the process that we're going through now, and DOT did the study. And this is what they found. It was installed, I think, in 2009. So based on data that DOT received after doing studies, crashes resulting in injuries went down by 63%. Speeding on the corridor went down from 74% of the cars were speeding down to 20% of the cars. Crashes resulting in injuries went down 60%. Now, this is interesting. There's been no change in traffic volumes or corridor travel times. And the community that requested the project overwhelmingly supports it. That's what we can expect on Central Park West. I urge a yes vote. Thank you.
And last but not least, Shereb Tripp.
Just weeks before Madison Jane Leiden was killed, as I rode in the same bike lane on Central Park West, an MTA bus driver, too impatient to wait the few seconds it would have taken for me to pass the adjoining bus stop, rushed from behind me to cut in front of me. I nearly ended up under the bus's rear wheels, and it was only by suddenly stopping that I was able to avert fatal catastrophe. This is not unusual. Many drivers in the city resent sharing the road with cyclists and routinely endanger our lives with negligent and sometimes intentionally aggressive maneuvers meant to showcase their anger. Consequently, every time I ride my bike, I have to wonder if this will be the ride where I am killed due to the actions of an impatient driver who continues to drive with reckless abandon because he knows that the killing of cyclists in this city will not result in any meaningful punitive measures. Thus, the need for protected bike lanes is great. Further, I do not often feel safe as a single female riding in parks after dark, and we cyclists risk being ticketed if we ride in parks after hours. For those of us who live uptown, the Central Park West bike lane is often the best available bike route for getting from Lower Manhattan to Upper Manhattan, and it deserves additional protections commensurate with its importance as a crucial biking artery. It really is a matter of life or death.
Questions?
I know this sounds a little ridiculous, but bike lanes are as wonderful as the people who are going to enforce them. So have we spoken to the precincts about what they can do? I mean, I can't tell you how many times I'm crossing Amsterdam and delivery people, or even on
Commuter
city
bikes too.
are going the wrong way. So what can we
Literally
do to
every
help them?
month. You should
Okay.
come to our transportation committee.
The captains of the precincts do send.
It's true for all of the street use.
Yeah.
You could design things to be safer and better, but the most important thing is people acting responsibly and legally and having enforcement to encourage that. Yeah, and we do what we can.
Absolutely, two lane bikes.
Yep.
No, I'm having trouble visualizing where the bike lane is.
Because there is no visual of it yet. What the resolution is calling for a plan to implement a protected bike lane. I don't know what it should look like. I think it's one of the few two-way streets that's a major avenue, and I don't know what the DOT will come up with. We're asking them to come up with something that will work for everyone. So I cannot envision it either.
DOT said they would come back in January with some plans.
So why are we voting?
Because we have a resolution asking them for a plan. They've agreed to the plan. Basically, what we're doing tonight is endorsing the resolution.
Yeah.
So you want to call the question?
One more?
Yeah, I've been looking closely at data of safety in our streets. And two things. One is since we passed and implemented the protected bike lane in Amsterdam, it has gotten much safer for pedestrians, cyclists, and motorists. And especially for cyclists. The number of injuries for cyclists has gone dramatically down since the bike lane was instituted. Interestingly, the bike lane right now is within our district from 72nd to 110th Street. Injuries from 59th Street to 71st Street have actually gone up since the protected bike lane came in. And we don't know why that is, but it might be because there are even more cyclists. So the fact that injuries have gone down, even though there's actually more cyclists, is notable. Also, I've looked at which are the most dangerous north-south corridors, and I've been saying for years, and this data really troubles me deeply, because we've known for years that even though Central Park West is the fourth most dangerous north-south corridor overall, behind Broadway, which is worse, and then Amsterdam, Columbus, and Central Park West. For cyclists, overall, Central Park West is even more dangerous than Broadway for cyclists. So it's been waiting for a tragedy like this. We've known it's been a risk, and we haven't done anything.
I just want to also mention that when we were discussing getting cyclists through Columbus Circle in a safe manner, we mentioned to the DOT that there is a section on Central Park West that is actually missing for cyclists, and this will also do away with that gap in the from 8th Avenue into Central Park West lane. So
yeah,
my grandmother.
Let's call the question.
One last thing. My grandmother used to say that every traffic light is a memorial. Unfortunately, this bike lane is going to be a memorial. We've known ahead of time how dangerous it was.
The question is called.
All those in favor?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37. Again, 1, 2, 2, 3.
How many are against?
Again, 3.
I think it's just two.
I don't.
Did you again? Raise your hands again for against. 1, 2,
3.
3. Okay. Abstain? Not eligible?
37,300.
Keep in mind that we will keep you posted on DOT's recommendations. I'm sure we'll be discussing in the transportation committee. They could mean, they could possibly mean making Central Park West one-way northbound to accommodate everybody. So we will keep this, we'll keep a close eye on this. The next resolution is a renewal of the for-hire black car base. Anyone have any questions? Nobody had any objections to this? All right, all in favor?
All in favor. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40.
Against? Abstaining? Ineligible? 40,000. I may have given you too many zeros.
Our next resolution is one that we heard a couple of months in a row, because the first time the proponents of naming an intersection for Gary Linkoff picked one on which he did not live. This resolution does reflect a corner on one of the corners on which Gary Linkoff lived, and was a foremost mushroom specialist, and there was a lot of support by colleges, right? They were much more impressive. Just in case people didn't know what my college was. And all of the supporting documents were provided to CB7 in a timely fashion. So we recommended and voted to approve this street corner honoring Gary Linkoff. Any questions? Yes, Jay.
I see there were two negative votes. Can I hear from either one of the negative?
On which one?
Oh, right. I think that street renaming is a bad idea. I wish we could honor people the way that we're acknowledging who they are in a better way than just being
It's a secondary street, and it's not a rename.
Yeah. So I don't like using street signs, which are streets of certain. I think something confusing in a way that doesn't really do anything on the person and let people know who the person is. It's a bad idea. It's not in any way reflecting on either the person or the person.
I would just add that I don't think the community voice should be fan favorites among people in our community. That there are many deserving people, and this is sort of first come, first served. It puts us in a very sort of an emotional position with family members and very hard to talk about. But we shouldn't be in this position. Really. There are other ways to
Thank you.
Could you add a picture of the mushroom on this one? Because in architecture, we study mold a lot, so it's not only the ones you eat, but it's all the bacteria.
We will make that request to the Department of Transportation, but they have pretty.
I was having fun tonight. I'm going out with the bag.
Maybe we can come up with some on the sign.
It is.
Yes.
That was kind of true.
Can we call the
Yeah, let's
question?
call the question.
They will do that. But yes, Paige, we'll ask. So we do, but they have pretty standard street signs. But all those in favor?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. Against? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
How many of those are people allergic to mushrooms?
Oh, I know him,
Abstaining,
and he was a famous mycologist. Yeah,
ineligible,
famous guy. I mean, a sort of niche.
29, 10, 2, 0.
And the last resolution. Is secondarily named the southeast corner of Broadway and 63rd Street for Sesame Street. We had a pretty decent amount of the public turnout to support this idea. We made sure that the folks behind this did survey the residential street buildings on 63rd Street.
Yeah.
That's the one that when you come out of the if you want to make your giant building, that's going to make you a public survey.
No, but why? Just a bunch of things.
It wasn't picked up. Any other questions, or can we call this question?
I have a question. I was always under the impression that Sesame Street portrayed a street in Harlem.
No.
Sesame Street what?
The street itself was supposed to be a street in Harlem. Like it was.
The West Side.
They
The
got the West
depiction
Side.
on the show.
They have that street. Yeah, this is where their headquarters is.
Yeah, this is
So
where
they
their
want to say
petition-
when they're celebrating their 50th anniversary, they can send out the all saying that they're at 1, 2, 3 Sesame Street. That's why they want to rename it.
I want to make a comment. Again, we are not only seeking to honor individual accomplishments, but we are now seeking to support a commercial enterprise more than once. But once again, when they are omnipresent and we are seeking to do that, I find that a little bit too much.
Like when they cry and stuff.
I think it's been a while since I watched it. I think it's Sesame Street is still on the air.
Yeah.
We honor the American Red Cross with a street naming, secondary street naming for a certain amount of time, even though it's still this. We also approved Macy's having a plaque on the sidewalk.
This is an enterprise.
No, it's no commercials.
I might not have, but it is a different physical. And there are many examples of practices.
Call the question.
I think the question is all those in favor.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28.
Again?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Sorry.
What?
I meant to erase my yes vote. So then it's 27, sorry, 27.
Opposed?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Abstaining?
Anyone say 1, 2?
Ineligible? 27, 11, 2, 0.
Everyone, I want to thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I'll thank you for the opportunity to serve again. I'll accept your motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Thank you. We are officially adjourned.